Training camp is finally here, and for Chiefs fans like you and me, that means football is officially back in our lives. After the long off-season drought, we're finally diving into the real stuff, and it started with Andy Reid stepping up to the podium to set the tone for what's ahead. Now, if you followed this team for even a minute, you know that Coach Reid runs one of the toughest camps in the NFL. He doesn't sugarcoat it. He wants his players ready, mentally and physically. Veterans pass the word to the young guys every year. Camp's going to be brutal, and you better come in prepared. And honestly, that mindset has worked. Just look at the hardware in the trophy case. But right before Andy spoke, we got some breaking news that sent a jolt through Chiefs Kingdom. George Karlaftis, Furious George himself, just signed a long-term extension. Yeah, the guy with the non-stop motor and relentless energy off the edge is now locked in for years to come. Andy had nothing but praise, calling him a heck of a player and someone the team can trust every single down. And that's not just coach speak. Karlaftis has earned every bit of this deal. What makes it even crazier is how fast it all came together. Just last week, a well-connected Twitter source named Ricky, yeah, the guy with the dog profile pic who nailed the Trey Smith deal details before anyone, tweeted that something was brewing with Karlaftis. He said we should expect a deal during camp. Well, turns out the momentum was so real that George put pen to paper before camp even officially began. That's a win for both sides. Karlaftis gets rewarded early in his career, and the Chiefs lock in one of their core defensive pieces at what looks like a team-friendly rate. And we'll dive deeper into the contract details coming up in the next section, but let me just say, it's a smart move now that's only going to look better in the years to come. Let me ask you something. Are you excited to see Furious George wrecking O-lines again this season? Drop a quick yes in the comments if you are. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and help us reach our goal of 5,000 die-hard Chiefs fans. You don't want to miss what's coming next because we're just getting started. Now let's talk about the Karlaftis deal itself, because once you look past the headlines, this contract might be one of the most strategic moves Brett Veach has made all offseason. Early reports said it was a 4-year extension worth $93 million with $62 million guaranteed. Pretty strong numbers. But then Albert Breer clarified the fine print, and here's where it gets interesting. It's actually a 4-year, $88 million deal with a max value of $93 million. That brings the average to about $22 million per year, not $23.25 million like it originally sounded. Still pricey? Sure. But it's all about timing. Karlaftis still has his rookie year left in 2025 and the 5th-year option in 2026. So when you stretch this out, you're really looking at a 6-year commitment with an average of just $17.5 million per year. For a 24-year-old edge rusher who's still improving and already producing top-tier numbers, that's a steal. And the timing couldn't be better, because more edge rushers are about to get paid. Fast forward a year or two, and George might not even be in the top 20 highest paid at his position anymore. Let's break down the cap hits, because this is where Veach really showed his magic. In 2025, Karlaftis will count just $5.1 million against the cap. In 2026, it bumps to $15.5 million. Then in 2027, we're looking at $14.75 million based on projections. After that, the numbers grow. $23 million in 2028, $25 million in 2029, and $22 million in 2030. And that last year, probably not even guaranteed. This is backloaded in a smart way, giving the Chiefs flexibility up front. This kind of move matters big time because, outside of Karlaftis, there's not a lot of long-term certainty in that defensive end room. Charles Omenihu's on a 1-year deal. Mike Dana could be moved off the books next season for minimal dead money. Felix Anudike-Uzomah is still finding his footing, and Ashton Gulaji hasn't played a single NFL snap yet. So locking in George gives the unit some much-needed stability. And while we're on the topic of the D-line, another positive development. Rookie defensive tackle Omar Norman Lott signed his deal over the weekend. That means every single player from this year's draft class is officially under contract and ready to roll for training camp. No holdouts, no distractions. That's huge. Omar's deal wasn't fully guaranteed like some other second-rounders, but it's still solid. And most importantly, it clears him to practice. He couldn't even hit the field until he signed, so now he's in the mix from day one. That alone sets the tone for what's looking like one of the most competitive camps we've seen in a while. So let me ask you this. Do you think locking in Karlaftis at this number was a smart move by the front office? Or should they have waited it out and prioritized someone else? I want to hear your take, so drop your opinion in the comments. And hey, if you're enjoying this deep dive so far, make sure you're subscribed to Total Chiefs News. We're breaking down every training camp headline as it happens, and trust me, this is only getting more exciting from here. Now that George Karlaftis is officially locked in, you've got to wonder, who's next? According to Nate Taylor of ESPN, the Chiefs are hoping to complete a trifecta of big money extensions before the season kicks off. Trey Smith, check. Karlaftis, check. And now, they've got their sights set on Trent McDuffie. If the Chiefs can get a deal done with McDuffie before the season starts, it's going to be massive. Not just financially, but symbolically. McDuffie isn't just another piece of the puzzle. He's a rare corner who can play elite football in the slot and outside. That kind of versatility is hard to find, and it's even harder to keep under contract long-term. He's already a first-team All-Pro in the slot, and still somehow underrated across the league. The guy is a technician with serious upside, and the Chiefs know it. Now, there's some debate going around. Some fans believe KC doesn't usually extend the defensive backs they draft. That's true to an extent, but McDuffie is a different breed. Still, his camp might want to wait. The longer they hold off, the more the market shifts in their favor. And honestly, who could blame them? But if the Chiefs manage to pull it off now before other top corners reset the market, it could be another stroke of genius by Brett Veach. Even if they don't land the extension before Week 1, McDuffie is still under contract through 2026. And if it comes to it, the team could franchise tag him for 2027. This year, the cornerback franchise tag number was $20.1 million, and while it'll rise by then, it's still a reasonable fallback if negotiations stall. But you've got to ask yourself, is that a smart long-term strategy for such a critical piece of this defense? So let me throw this to you. If you were in charge, would you give McDuffie a massive contract now or wait and tag him later? Let's talk about it in the comments. But the Chiefs aren't just dealing with contracts. Andy Reid also gave updates on injuries and the physically unable to perform list as camp opens. 3 players are starting camp on the PUP list. Cornerback Christian Fulton, right. Tackle Jawan Taylor and tight end Trey Watson. Everyone else? Good to go, which is a relief. Now, the 2 big names there, Taylor and Fulton, are both dealing with knee issues. Jawan's situation is especially interesting. Remember, he played through this same knee problem last season. But what we didn't know until Brett Veach shared it quietly during draft time was that Jawan had a procedure done in the offseason. He's been rehabbing ever since, and according to Coach Reid, he's closer to returning than Fulton. For Fulton, there's a little more concern. Yes, he's coming off one of the healthiest seasons of his career, but his history is filled with injury setbacks. Still, Andy made it clear. Any player starting on the PUP list can be activated at any time during camp, so don't hit the panic button just yet. Now here's where it gets real interesting. With Taylor sidelined, the Chiefs will be rotating guys like Josh Simmons and Jalen Moore at tackle to see who rises. The coaching staff will be watching every rep, every snap, every drill. And they've been impressed with Simmons so far, who stayed in Kansas City the entire break and worked non-stop to be ready. That kind of dedication goes a long way in this organization. By the time we wrap this camp up, we'll have a much clearer picture of who's going to hold down that offensive line. And with guys like McDuffie waiting on deck for an extension and players rehabbing their way back into the lineup, you can feel it. This camp matters. Don't forget to like the video if you want to see McDuffie and Casey long-term. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We're pushing toward 5,000 Chiefs fans, and your support means everything. Let's switch gears and talk about the wide receiver situation, especially Rashee Rice. Andy Reid weighed in on Rice's status heading into camp, and there's a lot to unpack. Obviously, there's some ongoing news about a potential suspension for Rice. The coach said they're going to proceed as normal with his workload since his knee has been fully cleared. They're planning to give him the usual reps in practice. But of course, if a suspension does come through, it's good that the Chiefs have a deep rotation of receivers ready to step in. Right now, no one knows exactly when or how long a suspension might last, but most reports suggest it could be somewhere between 4 to 6 games, likely meaning Rice would start the season on the sidelines. Still, with the Chiefs' approach to rotating receivers, whoever needs to step up will be ready and in shape. That depth is crucial, especially in the early part of the season. And speaking of rotations, training camp is also where some of the fiercest battles happen, particularly along the offensive line. With Jawaan Taylor out for now, all eyes are on the left tackle spot, where Josh Simmons and Jalen Moore are splitting reps and competing for the starting nod. It's a position that struggled with consistency last season, so the coaching staff is eager to find a reliable answer. On the right side, there's a bit of uncertainty too. Simmons and Moore might also see time there, and the coaching staff will be rotating guys to figure out the best combinations. It's early, and no one knows exactly who will emerge as the starter, but Andy Reid emphasized that they'll be grading every play in camp to make that decision. Meanwhile, the guard spots are also interesting. Kingsley Suamataia looks poised to take the left guard job over Mike Caliendo, with coaches reportedly high on what he's shown so far. Suamataia will be eager to prove himself with every rep. Over in the secondary, with Christian Fulton on the PUP list, the Chiefs are watching closely to see who will step up behind Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson at cornerback. That could be the third-round pick Null Williams, who might still be adjusting, or someone else entirely. It's a deep position group, but there's always competition to earn. Playing time. Training camp is going to be packed with moments like these, and you can bet we'll be following every development closely. If you want to stay ahead of all these battles and roster moves, don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell. This camp promises to be one of the most exciting in recent memory. Before we move on, I've got a quick question for you. Who do you want to see win the starting left tackle job this year? Simmons, Moore, or maybe a surprise candidate? Let me know your pick in the comments below. To wrap things up, the Chiefs made another roster move right as training camp kicked off. They signed wide receiver Hal Presley. Now, Presley wasn't drafted. He came out of Baylor and spent some time with the Bills last year, but now he's in Kansas City trying to earn his spot. He's a solid size at 6'2" and 210 pounds, and he reportedly ran a 4.56 40-yard dash. Not blazing fast, but enough to make plays. His college production showed steady improvement, catching 31 passes for 429 yards and 3 touchdowns in his senior year. So this signing makes sense as the Chiefs look to fill the void left by Justin Ross, who was waived last week. That said, Presley's path to cracking the 53-man roster will be tough. The WR room is crowded, and he's just getting in late with camp starting. But every camp needs bodies, and he'll get his chance to show what he can do in practice. And don't be surprised if more moves happen as injuries pop up and the Chiefs shuffle the roster. Speaking of injuries, remember the 3 guys on the PUP list? Trey Watson, Jawaan Taylor, and Christian Fulton? Those kinds of setbacks are common in camp, so expect the Chiefs to keep making roster moves to manage health and depth throughout these next few weeks. So what's the big picture? The Chiefs are pushing hard, locking up key players like Karlaftis, targeting McDuffie next, and adding depth like Presley to keep the team sharp. Training camp is where all those off-season plans get put to the test, and if history is any guide, this group will come out ready to compete. Before I let you go, I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think Hal Presley can make the roster? Drop a quick yes or no below. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to keep up with every camp update and roster move as they happen. We're closing in on 5,000 Chiefs fans here on the channel, and your support means the world. All right, that's it for today. Thanks for hanging out, and until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go.